Right now, everyone sounds confident. Everyone has a chart. Everyone has a macro story, unfortunately. And that's why I think you need to be careful who you listen to, because this is where bad advice sounds the smartest, unfortunately. Because what we need to do here, we need to set the scene a little bit. Gold and silver is ripping. Bitcoin's doing absolutely nothing, by the way, if you've not yet noticed. And altcoins have done nothing for the last 2 to 3 years, apart from the odd little push from the randomness. But everyone seems to have this same little explanation. Money is rotating from gold and silver into Bitcoin. There's going to be QE. There's going to be liquidity coming in. It's going to go to the moon. I mean, that does sound quite neat and logical in a way. But that's when it's usually quite dangerous, because we are in a downtrend. We haven't really had much liquidity. And more importantly, why would gold and silver rotate into Bitcoin all of a sudden? There's a reason why they're doing really well. So the problem with the narrative is quite simple, I hope. Well, this is obviously silver. We'll talk about gold as well, for obvious reasons. Now, markets don't seem to move in clean handovers. We know this. There isn't just a button going from gold to silver into then crypto, into then altcoins, into then your microcaps, and then you're going to get rich. That's not, that's not how it works. Gold and silver move on fear. Currency debasement, in a way, and a lot of uncertainty. Recently, we've just had a lot of talk about war and, more importantly, peace talks. Oil has gone up due to that because there's uncertainty. Bitcoin moves on liquidity, risk appetite, positioning, and more importantly, you could probably argue network effect in a way with the mining side of it. But you got to remember as well, Bitcoin has already had kind of its bull market, its run. We've gone from $15,000 to $126,000. That's quite a big jump. And I know silver's on a decent jump here. Very good. Very, very good. But it's not the same as what the Bitcoin run was, realistically. Now, we've got to just look back in time here. If you just zoom out enough on silver, not a lot's happened for a long time. And I know this is only the 2-day chart. Go to the weekly time frame, you can still see it. We've done nothing for a long time. And all of a sudden, we are now beyond its previous all-time high, obviously smashed it, since 2011. 2011. It's a long time. So it's taken a long time to get to that period. And it's that whole story of every dog has its day. Silver. And obviously you could argue gold. Gold's a bit more mental. This has gone to a new extension. This is just going parabolic. It's gone crazy, right? So there's always going to be some sort of situations here. But the reality check is here. Let's talk about this bit. Bitcoin. Bitcoin has already done its move. It's already correcting. It's done a big move. Just people haven't really noticed it because, my altcoins haven't pumped, right? That's kind of the situation. Now, what am I seeing all the time, right? With Bitcoin, yes, we're in a downtrend. It's looking pretty horrible. And we can zoom in a little bit and go to, the 2-day time frame, for example here. We have struggled to get anywhere near this red box. And this is kind of like the red box of clarity that I like to call it, because you get a bit more of a clear picture when you start getting into there, because you are at key levels. You are at levels of support, then flipping over into certain situations that hopefully becomes easier as we go higher. But we've failed to get above the EMA 21. We've failed to get above any sort of clarity around the Fibonacci sequences, which makes sense because we've had a big jump. But my biggest problem is, and feel free to let me know in the comments, normally when we have a big dump, we tend to have a correction going up. We haven't had that, have we? And that's where the biggest problem lies. So there's no breakout. There's been no real obvious breakdown for a while. There's no confirmation or no invalidation because nothing's happening. Everyone seems to be just, I think, guessing. There's no certainty at all here. And if you look at the daily time frame, it kind of backs it up in a way. That is what we're dealing with. That is going from mid-November. Awful. It's getting tighter and tighter and tighter. Does it mean something's going to happen soon? Possibly, yes. But people are expecting the obvious in the room here. We're going to go to the moon. There's going to be QE. Oh, liquidity is coming. Oh, follow the M2. Whatever. Just be mindful who you listen to, as I say. Because one thing we do need to look at here, and it's quite obvious, altcoins are not in anywhere near any sort of bullish market right now. It's very selective. Some are working out, some are not. Most are not, let's be honest. Now, rotation shows up in participation, not tweets, not YouTube videos. What we're seeing on this screen here is the stable currency dominance. That's going up. That would indicate that money is rotating out and remaining in stable currencies, probably due to uncertainty. Probably a really good logical reason. Now, that's a big factor for obvious reasons. Now, when we talk about, say, the total market of the entire index or the industry in total, we are pulling back. And this is kind of like what I simulated a long time ago in a video, bull bear markets. And we've kind of went, if we're talking 4-year cycle, this has nailed it. Literally nailed it, right? Just saying. But the reality is here, that hasn't been the factor. We have had a really weird time. It's been psychologically quite daunting, bearing, hard work, horrendously awkward, but that's just the reality of it. Altcoins have struggled where most people have been. Bitcoin, if you were in Bitcoin like myself and other people that I know, you've done all right, but you probably would have wanted more, realistically. Obviously, if you've been in gold and silver, you've done pretty well alongside with, obviously, Bitcoin. I'm also in the stock market, I've done pretty well. The reality is here, most people betted on the altcoin market and it just didn't deliver. You can see this very clearly on the total 3/BTC chart. This is what it looks like. Even though you got buys on realistic areas of genuine interest from the past, you haven't really been delivered a profit from that. That's the reality because no one's interested. That's a problem. Because when we talk about the likes of altcoins and the psychology, we are absolutely sick to death of price predictions like this. We are. I am. You see it all the time on X. You see it all the time on YouTube. Everyone's just quoting Tommy Lee. And how wrong has he been so far? Yeah. Thing is, when you predict the market, and I'm going to be honest and blunt here, I'm terrible at it. I don't know why I did videos on it. Same with anyone else. Just don't do it. You can't predict anything these days. Another one as well, obviously, when we talk about the Wild West and the far world of crypto, we still have situations where this is happening. Insider extortion schemes targeting nearly 70,000 customers. This is still a horrible market. That's creating havoc. And then again, we talk about the likes of the ETF inflows and outflows. Guess what? The outflows. Lovely. Great. I know. So we talk about it in real logical terms here, but realistically, that market has been wobbling for a while now. So yeah, it feels very bearish until it's not, of course, obviously. But remember, we are due some sort of bounce, but don't mislead that for a new all-time high, a new bull market. There's still many hoops you got to jump through. But this is the thing, right? If we're talking about the psychology of it and stuff, this is the phase, I think, right, where people stop analysing price and they start defending the narrative. They're not looking at the technicals. They're not looking at the fundamentals. They're not looking at what is happening. They're looking at like, oh my God, this could happen and it will happen because I think it's going to happen and I'm going to tell you it's going to happen. It doesn't work like that. Obviously, when price goes quiet, the narratives obviously get louder. It gets quite boring, I know. Confidence fills gaps when there's missing narratives, obviously, right? And this is the thing, right? The most dangerous advice isn't bearish advice, I don't think, anyways. It's more the confident advice at the wrong time. For example, Tommy Lee. For example, the likes of Michael Saylor saying Bitcoin's going to go to 21 million by 2045. Really? How do we know that? Good analysis will always wait and the bad ones will always explain. I am being very patient. I'm chilling. I've got a plan. I know exactly what I'm doing. I'm still dollar cost averaging small amounts and I will get aggressive as we get lower and I will be putting my money that I sold from June to September when we were much higher back into the market in obvious levels. But I don't think we're anywhere near that yet. Thing is, right, people are all betting their money and all their chips on the QE side of it. QE happens when something goes wrong, realistically. Yeah, you can talk about T-bills and stuff, but they're different. They're not going to go into crypto realistically. So yeah, stocks are rampant. Silver and gold are flying. Likes of platinum's doing fantastic as well. And then you got crypto, not. But we've already had our bull market, I think. But as we talk about it, the word bull market, there's always a bull market somewhere, right? And this is what we're getting. That doesn't mean you need to be involved right now. That doesn't mean you need to sell your crypto and jump to metals. Or then jump from metals into stocks or into dividends or whatever, right? You just got to have a plan. And your job isn't to be the perfect rotation person. It isn't. Your job is to protect your own capital with the decisions you've made and the plan that you've already got. I am in Bitcoin. I am in cryptocurrency for the one reason. I don't want to be in metals. I want to be in crypto. I have been in crypto since 2016. I was in stocks before that. I've rotated a little bit back to stocks now for the comfort and the safety side of it. At the end of the day, I know that dividend stocks will pay me an income. I know for a fact that Bitcoin will probably, at some point in time, outperform the entire market. Doesn't happen all the time though. But yeah, let me know, obviously, in the comments what you think about this whole market and the mess of it. I hope as well you've all had a fantastic Christmas and stuff like that. I know I've been pretty quiet, but ultimately not lots happening. And that's good to have a bit of downtime, realistically. But let me know, do you trust the narrative or do you trust the technicals and the price? I would lean more on the price at the minute until something genuinely changes. If you've done so, please do watch this video as well. This might help you with some of my psychology and how I think about this market.